This is the genesis. This is the beginning.
Yeah. None of this happens without you.
To teach you some respect about the history of the NWA World's Heavyweight
This
title.
is not a wrestling match. This is not going to be a technical exhibition.
Every day that I wake up as the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion is like Christmas.
It means more to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
I'm going to be the end. I'm going to be the end of you as champion, and I may be the end of your career.
It's Durger time. Thank you for joining me for another episode of TEW 2020, Billy Corgan's NWA. What a great intro. What it's celebrating one of the pillars of our show, who unfortunately lost his match in the Open Challenge for the Alliance title. That was a real shame. And as we know, he is retiring. Now, our buddy Tim Storm is retiring in a couple days. I do not know if we are going to be able to have him as a personality or if he's going to leave the business altogether. I'm hoping he's not leaving the business because I would like to have him hang around in some capacity. Like I said, when we first started the show, you know, characters will change and we'll have people come and go, but it was always some of the OG NWA figures were going to be kind of pillars for us in a certain capacity. Nick Aldis, hopefully always going to be here. Tim Storm was supposed to kind of always be here. Josephus was supposed to kind of always be here. And even if their place on the roster changed, the idea was to always kind of keep them as a heart and soul of our NWA. And it's a bummer to see one of those pillars start to fall down. Hopefully, like I said, he could stay around as some kind of personality, maybe a manager, maybe a GM or something like that, because I would like to keep him around. But I don't know. It's going to depend on what he does and whether he leaves the business or not. But we have a show in 2 days. We have to air it early because he's going to be retiring soon. So we've changed our TV taping day just to kind of accommodate that. And we'll go on and move on to the show. Nothing in the back end of things really to focus on. A lot of contracts ending. A lot of these guys are people that are out of the tournament, though we renewed some of these guys. Obviously, the ones that failed in the tournament that did not move on are not getting contract extensions. Everybody else got a 1-month contract extension just to kind of get things moving there. But that is kind of what's going on in the back end. Other than that, some morale issues, nothing horrendous though. Minor morale issues, mostly. What's going on? Irritated. Why are you irritated? What are you irritated? Being left off power a bunch of times. Fair enough. So we gotta keep that mindful that some of these guys are getting some morale issues. Is Marty still on our payroll? No, that's Joey Machete. I didn't realize Marty was still here. I thought we got rid of him. Let's take care of this. We have nothing for you. See you, Marty. Nope. Your job's done. We're done with you. Yeah, everybody else has minor morale issues just about being off the show at some point or another. So things we have to maybe look at a little bit. But the minor ones are not that big of a deal. We can always just throw some money at it and solve the problem if we really need to. The bigger morale issues are a little bit worse. Obviously, you know, Cash Wheeler's a little bit upset. Mostly about, I think, irritating left off a Great American Bash and irritated at a booking and a match at Power. Sure. Yeah. You know, that's a problem. We could probably give him some money, but we don't even know if he's going to work here for much longer. You know, I'll just to solve the problem a little bit. What do we give you? What's your pay rate? Probably like 1,000 something. Here, I'm going to give him $2,000. A little bit. It's a little bit of money. But just to maybe see if we can boost that up. And boost the morale. Okay, well, he's still annoyed, but oh well. We'll deal with it. All right, let's go on and let's move on to the show. Oh, we got some contract negotiations to deal with here. Okay, guess not. What do you want? Yeah, that's fine. I'll accept the full request. We're only paying you $30. So, like I said, everybody that's still in the tournament, we have incoming contract negotiations for. It may disrupt our issue with the tournament because it might delay it a week, but otherwise it shouldn't really be that big of a deal. AEW loan out Conor McGregor, MLW. So weird. Why is he over at AEW? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anything else going on? Tony Nese staying with WWE? Sure. Nothing else really crazy, but I just don't understand that Conor McGregor. Oh well. All right, night of the show. Some of our contract negotiations coming in. We'll just complete them all. Should be good. Like I said, it may interrupt our flow of the tournament, but if it does, it's not a big deal. Icarus starting a new storyline in the Chikara that is in the hole. Someone in the Discord, I forget who mentioned it, was talking about maybe the potential of a buyout of Chikara, which could be fun because I would like NWA being able to do the King of Trios. It would be hella fun. But I think we have to. I think we would end up getting their debt. I'm not 100% sure. Let me see. Contact? Isn't there a contact button? Tour company. There's like an interact with company thing. Where is it? Tour contact. Okay. Like I don't even want to click it. just in case. But I think we would have to take all of their company relationships. Hostile at no, it's hostile. I want a takeover. I don't even know. I'm afraid to even attempt to touch the button. Because I feel like if we were to take it over, we would have to take all their debt, and we would basically be done. I mean, we would get demolished. Like we're making okay money, but it would completely obliterate our entire capital. It would be a nightmare. But there's value there, I suppose, but not enough to warrant that. Everybody else is doing okay, I think, financially. CZW. Now, CZW would be one that wouldn't be horrible to just buy out and fold it out. It's negative 35,000, but that's chump change. Like, even if we had to take that debt, let's just hit the button here, see what would happen. Okay, so takeover means the company remains active with its current roster titles and they now become owned by you. So we could turn them into a developmental territory. We could pillage them. Yeah, they will have to pay off all of their debts to complete this deal. So that would be a nightmare for doing that to Chikara. But CZW, so like we could just disband them. Volatile's retired. If they're more popular than you in any region, you'll absorb their popularity into your own. We could pillage and steal their contracts, which isn't really that helpful because all of them are like PPAs anyways. The takeover is interesting because we could kind of just turn it into a weird developmental brand. And just let them run their own thing. That ain't horrible, but it would cost us more money because then we would be kind of running it. We would have to financially help it around. Whereas, like, the two options here to seem interesting would be taking over CZW, because then we can turn it into developmental, and make it part of the NWA Alliance brand, right? We could relabel it. We could even, like, rename CZW entirely, be like NWA Philadelphia or something like that, or CZW NWA. But you know, we could have it as a developmental or child company that we could send talent over to. Disbanding it also is very evil, but would remove them from any issues. Though they're a tiny, so they're not really competing against us anyways, but it certainly is an option. I'll leave it to the comments section to decide what to do there. Like, Chikara would be a more interesting one to do that to, because either we could turn it into a developmental, or we could just disband it, and then we would never have to deal with it taking a penalty hit against us. Certainly an option, but we would have to spend all of our money just to do that. Seems a little unnecessary for the value that we get, especially when, again, we could probably just steal any of their talent. Like, the only thing that we would be really interested in is maybe their titles, like the King of Trios with this prestige. Taking that over would be very cool. But, or making a developmental territory, but I'm not willing to invest $1 million into that. That seems, I don't know, it just doesn't seem smart to me. If their financials get in order, though, if for some reason they start to make some more money, I don't know what happened here, but if they can become solvent again, or even if it goes down to like $500,000 or something, we could invest our capital in that, versus like a Combat Zone. Just buying them out would be fine, because it would cost us pretty much nothing. You know, some people are in similarly poor boats. Not everybody, but you know, I have no idea if, like, you know, would GCW even? I doubt it. Yeah, they're not in a bad enough financial situation. I think they have to be in negatives and have no way of leaving it. Like ICW, they would probably take it, whereas MLW would not. But some of these companies that are, you know, in the negative and don't have a prospect of going out, we could probably take. It's not a bad financial proposition either. Just to do it, just to remove some competition from the field, and absorb any of these. Like if we were looking for a Japanese expansion, just taking out Zero isn't the worst idea. Or even like if we wanted to, you know, where's ICW located typically? What's going on here? Actually, I should look at this headline. I'm a little worried about WWE and ICW. What's going on here? Enter agreement to not steal workers and ended a trading agreement. So they're in Scotland. So like if we wanted to boost our Northern Ireland popularity, just disbanding them and absorbing that isn't a horrible idea. It's kind of fucked up, but it's not a bad idea. Yeah, same thing. Like Chikara would be worth disbanding just to gain that 42 in the tri-state region. But that not for that money. Especially CCW is nowhere near the popularity though. That's the thing. I think we have that popularity in the region already. So like unless we were making them a developmental, it really wouldn't be worth it. We're 37 all the way around. Yeah, so that really wouldn't do much for us at all. But maybe a Chikara. We got to keep an eye out on where its financials end up resting. You know, as it starts to become insolvent, maybe we can jump in and do something. Maybe if we get that capital, we just say go for it. We know we're running on we're running net positive right now. So even if we used up a mill, we will still be fine once we have it. But it's an option. I'll let you guys discuss it. For now, let's table it and let's go on to power. All right, we do have a backstage incident. Kimberly and David Finlay probably, wrestlers court. What'd you do, Kim? Accused of annoying everyone with her constant boasting and cocky attitude, Finlay found her guilty and sentenced her to remain silent for the rest of the night. Yes, good. Good stuff. Absent workers is Austin Gunn. Not a big deal. Locker room controls. We can medal. I'm gonna medal. Spoilers. I don't know if this is gonna work. Cherokee 120 does not have a defined personality. Extremely unlikely to achieve anything. Nah, it's a bummer. We'll try anyways. Yeah. All right. We got a show. Make sure we're in the GCW or GPB studio. Select it. We're expecting 445. Last time we were here, we had 498. We're getting a little bit less here. Not a big deal, but hopefully we can pack it out. Going to be showed on a lot of shows. Last episode, we had a big betrayal. Eli Drake betrayed Aldis and walked away mid-match, which definitely is the signs that the boardroom's falling apart. We are moving to a season finale, obviously, with Starrcade, and part of that is kind of ending some storylines, starting up some new ones. So some new ones were already starting to develop. The thing with Eddie Kingston, what's going on there, starting to develop. But we're kind of finishing some of the older storylines and trying to pay them off a little bit. So keep a lookout for that, and let's go on. Let's get to the booking here and see if we can get ourselves a good episode of Power. All right, guys, we're ready for the show. This is a weird one. A lot of promos, not a lot of time. These are always tough with these 60-minute shows. We went 65 minutes, no pre-show matches, and a lot of speeches, a lot of things going on. So let's go ahead and let's get on to the show and see how it does. I'm really not sure how this will play out. So let's go ahead and let's get on with Power. We start to show off with Villains for Hire, having a match with Royce Isaacs and Ty Ray, trying to give Villains a opportunity to have a match on Power. They haven't been here for a while, and they defeat Royce Isaacs and Ty Ray in 4 minutes. Brody King gets the win. 31, 37, 43, 37, about all in the same wheelhouse for the most part. PCO off his game, got a 32. It's okay. It's fine. It's not a horrible match by any means. And it's on a low card, so it's not the end of the world. Afterwards, oops. I guess I screwed that one up for him. But this is a weirdly poor rated match. But Eddie Kingston is on the sidelines, having watched Ty and Royce Isaacs lose, and motions him over like he did before to Ricky Starks, and starts talking to him a little bit. We don't know what they're talking about. But it seems like he's trying to give them advice or do something. So something's going on with Eddie Kingston. After that, we have a rated 39 segment, Tim Storm's potentially last segment here in the NWA as he retires, to the glee of some people in our fan base. Tim Storm comes to the ring, still a little bandaged up from his attack by Lance Archer. His smile is present, clearly is starting to fade as he walks to the ring. Grabs a microphone. He says, they say that you can feel phantom pains when you lose a limb. Well, it's odd because I think that works for belts, too. I could feel that Alliance Championship still around my waist. I'm not really sad about losing. After all, loss is a part of life. It's an inevitable force of nature. That what goes up must come down. And over the years, NWA let me rise so high. 20 years ago, I was in this for the wrong reason. I wrestled for a little bit of cash, for beer money, when I wasn't in a classroom teaching. It wasn't until the NWA that I understood what was so important here. That being a wrestler wasn't about being a great fighter or a great talker. It wasn't about making a ton of cash or gaining celebrity. It was about being a hero, being an inspiration, being the person you wished you had in life growing up to look up to. I know I wasn't always that, but I do hope that for the most part I was. So thank you all. Got the crowd hotter, got a 39, and we continue to Storm's last moment saying, I want to thank you all, I love you all, thank you for sharing this all with me. The crowd gives their appreciation, and the camera lingers on Storm's face. Clearly he's struggling with a range of emotions, happy about the reaction, and sad that it has to depart. Behind him, though, a figure emerges. Ace Austin appears, deploys his little magic staff, and proceeds to strike Tim Storm behind his head and attacks him to the ground. He ruins his retirement moment, grabs the microphone, and just laughs into it. And he says cockily, "For my first trick, I made your hero disappear. You won't want to miss the encore." And with that, Ace Austin retreats to the back, leaving medical to attend to the injured Tim Storm. Both segments get a 38 and a 39, and that potentially is Tim Storm's very last segment on the NWA. Kind of sad. I feel a little bummed. And we move on to the second shot tournament. We got FTR versus Warhausen. It's a pretty good match, actually. Most of that is FTR. It's a 9-minute match. FTR defeat Warhausen in 9 minutes. Cash Wheeler defeat Warhorse with a shatter machine, protecting Danhausen. In terms of in-ring work, Dax was head and shoulders above everybody else. Everyone showed great chemistry together, and ultimately the match was pretty good. Warhorse and Danhausen do not get their second shot, though it doesn't really matter because it seems like they just hang out here now. They don't actually work here, so, that's fine. This gives the opportunity to move FTR up and move them along, and pretty good match. After that, we got a promo. Eli Drake is at the commentary booth. He was requested to talk about what happened last week, where he seemingly betrayed his boardroom members. And he starts to try to explain his actions, but before he could really even get started in the interview, he's interrupted by Silas Young, who's backstage and emerging. And Silas Young comes over to him and says, "So Drake, I see that chip on your shoulder. You don't have to explain anything to anyone. I know that look. I know that drive. You did it because you're sick of being in someone else's shadow. That when you're a man, you're a real man and you're a real star. You need to shine in the light. I get that. I respect that. You got a lot to learn yet. But I feel like we could come to an arrangement. Maybe we could teach you what being a true, real man is all about." Eli grabs Silas's microphone still in his hand and moves it to his own mouth. And he says, as he's smiling at him, acting like he's about to say yes to it, he goes, "I have no interest in joining a retiree and his pet troglodyte. I don't need to be taught how to be a real man or how to win." And before he can even finish his promo, Silas Young attacks him, leveling him out onto the table with a powerbomb, and obviously walks away. During the recovery, it is announced that backstage that they will have a match tonight in the main event to kind of blow off this sequence of events. So segment rating got a 58, did a great. Eli Drake was awesome in the segment. got the crowd hotter. And most of that match had to do with the match coming up will be a sort of a bet that I had with someone on Discord. So Joe, you're welcome for your Silas Young main event in the NWA Power episode. We have a debuting Natty Neidhart. It does okay. The segment rating is fine. She gets a great no gimmick needed rating though, which is good. And she has a debut match. It's actually pretty good. Natty had a 51. Ashley Vox had a 32. Natty defeats Ashley Vox in 7 minutes by submission. Gets a sharpshooter in there. Not much to say about it. Just a debut. Overall, not too bad. She's going to be a good hand. She's pulling 51s out on here. I think she's going to be a great addition to our women's division, which desperately needs just a little bit more talent so we can do some stuff with it. So this is great. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. Very happy with that match. And in our main event, we have Eli Drake versus Silas Young. Its match rating is pretty good, 58. It had good heat, decent wrestling. Eli Drake defeats Silas Young in 14 minutes by pinfall with a bottom rung. Drake had a 53, Young had a 45, and the crowd was buzzing by the end of the match. So Drake proves to Young that he doesn't need him to be a real man, and he moves on to go his own way, ending the show. A little bit of a simpler power, but I think effective. 54 is not too bad. That might be better than most of the shows we've had. Definitely a pretty great one. I'm happy with the momentum that we're starting to build for Eli Drake. That's definitely going to be sort of a story beat going in post Starrcade, and we're kind of building that up here. A great debut from Natty, and a great retirement for Tim Storm. I was really happy with that, even though it's a lower rating, but it did pretty well. Still a little bummed. Like, I'm legitimately kind of upset that he's retiring. I'm hoping that we'll find out next week that he's sticking with us and not retiring from the business altogether. All right, we got some negotiations. We will just push those ahead. We got some mail too. Ring of Honor is looking for a booking opportunity here. That's fine. We got a .10, which is not too shabby. No complaints from anybody of our broadcasters, which is great. Tank retires. Okay. Sure. Whatever, man. Where is our show? Last night's NWA Power was excellent. It went down very well. Got 488 fans in there. Very happy with that. That was a pretty good show. What is our... I'm trying to remember where to find it here. I kind of want to look. I think it's in here. Yeah. So it wasn't our best show. Or was it? It was our best show. Week 3. Right? Was that just our last show there? Or was that the one before it? It might have been the one before it. But we're definitely improving in our ratings. We're getting up to 59 on here. I think that was the one before this. We actually ran 2 shows this week because of Tim Storm's retirement. So wanted to make sure we got his retirement in there before we had to do anything. Which that reminds me, Tim Storm's last ride, we should have ended it here. But we got to end the story. It's a bummer. Real bummer. But it is what it is. As we start barreling towards Starrcade, we got 22 days. We got a lot of time to build up some of our finale moments. And we're also obviously building some of our new storylines going forward. But that was a pretty good power. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you next time.